Hi, this is Dr. Alexandra Reed with the National Animal Disease Traceability and Veterinary Accreditation Center, and this is the Animal Disease Traceability Cooperative Agreement Webinar training. Thank you for joining me today. In 2018, the USDA established 4 overarching goals to advance animal disease traceability. First, to enhance the electronic sharing of data. Second, to increase the use of electronic ID tags for animals requiring individual identification. Third, to enhance the ability to track animals from birth to slaughter. And fourth, to increase the use of electronic ICVIs. ADT is a performance-based program designed to measure outcomes that will document successful advancement of ADT. The Traceability Performance Measures, or TPMs, and more recently, the National Priority Traces, or NPTs, have been used to measure and document this progress. The NPTs are based on 4 defined trace performance measures, which evaluate a recipient's ability to properly administer, record, and retrieve documents pertaining to official identification of livestock and interstate movement. Guidelines for the administration and completion of the NPTs should be followed to maintain eligibility for reimbursement of expenditures. Recipients must include specific activities they will undertake in their annual cooperative agreement work plan to support the following 6 activities. First, national priority traces. The recipient work plan must detail the following elements for NPTs. It must provide an overview of how the recipient will administer traces to complete the assigned number of NPTs in the Emergency Management Response System, EMERS. Upon completion of a state's required NPTs for the cooperative agreement period, a performance report will be distributed to states. States should review the information and if issues have been identified, work with their area veterinarian in charge, program manager, AVIC PM, to provide key actions or activities that they will take in order to improve prior to the next performance period. The recipient should contact the AVIC PM for their report if it was not previously received. Recipients that identify potential compliance issues in the course of administering NPTs shall report enforcement actions taken to their AVIC PM for inclusion in the VS Quarterly ADT Enforcement Action Summary Report. The second activity that needs to be detailed in the work plan is the administration of official identification devices. Advancement of ADT requires activities that will make electronic information more readily available. Technologies such as RFID tags, readers, and associated electronic interstate movement documentation must be given high priority in the work plan. Recipients should explain how official identification devices will be made available to producers and plans for increasing the use of official RFID tags and reading devices. Recipients should also explain how they are maintaining records of official identification devices distributed and/or applied to ensure timely retrieval of such records when needed, including devices administered through accredited veterinarians, markets, and tagging sites. See the ADT Workbook Quarterly Reporting tabs to report the number and type of official identification devices distributed and/or applied. Here is a picture of the official identification devices chart, which is located in the ADT Cooperative Agreement Workbook Quarterly Reporting tabs. So this is where you go to record the number and type of official identification devices that are distributed and/or applied, as well as the species that they're applied to. The third activity is information sharing. Sharing information quickly and effectively will help APHIS and its recipients respond to animal disease events and make ADT successful. Recipients should explain what information systems are being used to support traceability and describe the process and in what format APHIS and other states will be provided access to the data when needed. Recipients must include a description of systems utilized for the distribution of official identification, program disease, and movement record keeping. Contributing summary data from state systems like USA Herds or Core 1 to the Animal Health Events Repository, AHER, is a high priority for ADT. Therefore, states must work with VS Counterparts to develop a plan for sharing the key data elements, which include tag number, date, event type, state, prem ID of producer or state office, and the system holding the data. Additionally, recipients who have developed or obtained their own information systems should explain how their systems are aligned with established data and communication interfaces to ensure compatibility of information systems. The fourth activity is electronic records. In addition to the key elements noted in the ADT roadmaps, activities to increase the volume of electronic records that optimize the searchability of potential ADT data shall be described. Priority areas to consider include distribution records, tags applied records of official identification devices, and ICVIs, as well as other sources deemed applicable for the recipient, such as data from bovine brucellosis vaccination and testing, bovine tuberculosis testing, brand inspection certificates, etc. Additionally, the work plan must describe the recipient's approach to increase and track the utilization of electronically searchable ECVI systems by accredited veterinarians. See the ADT Workbook Quarterly Reporting tabs for reporting both the number of paper and electronic ICVIs issued per species covered under the ADT rule, as well as the number of Category 2 accredited veterinarians that are using ECVIs and a list of the ECVI applications utilized by accredited veterinarians within the state. Here is the Interstate Certificate of Veterinary Inspection chart, which is located in the ADT Workbook Quarterly Reporting tabs. So this is where you would go to record the number of both paper and electronic ICVIs issued by species. That's both out-of-state shipments and into-state shipments. You would also record here the number of Category 2 accredited veterinarians using ECVIs, as well as a list of the type of ECVI applications that are being utilized by the accredited veterinarians within your state. The fifth activity is outreach. Implementation of an outreach plan for the recipient's approach, including timelines and goals, is vital to support ADT. Recipients should focus on outreach events with stakeholders that demonstrate the value of ADT, including understanding of electronic animal ID, premise ID, timelines, regulations, and exercises or demonstrations of real-world scenarios. See the ADT Workbook Quarterly Reporting tabs for the reporting of ADT outreach activities. And a picture of the ADT outreach chart is included here as well. The sixth activity is compliance and enforcement. High compliance with traceability regulations is also critical to achieve optimum tracing capabilities. While APHIS is the lead on the regulations defined in 9 CFR Part 86, recipients are encouraged to work cooperatively with federal resources on activities that will support compliance with and enforcement of ADT, particularly when the state has regulations that align with the federal regulations. Specifically, the recipient, in collaboration with the ADICPM, is to document, processes to examine and report compliance with ADT requirements and enforcement actions taken for both official identification and interstate movement as defined in 9 CFR Part 86. To avoid duplication of reporting, the state should provide their AVIC PM with accounts of enforcement activities to be included in the VS Quarterly ADT Enforcement Action Summary report. Additionally, recipients must document efforts they will undertake to ensure that accredited veterinarians and other tag managers that acquire official identification devices directly from manufacturers keep accurate records of the tags distributed and applied. Recipients are required to submit an ADT detailed financial plan, and it is recommended that recipients use the ADT Cooperative Agreement Financial Plan Excel template to document planned expenditures, which can be found in Appendix 7 of the guide and is also previewed here on this screen as well. Lastly, I want to include a quick overview of the Program Manager Checklist Evaluation Form, which is filled out by the AVIC PM and submitted to the ADT staff along with the work plan. So the AVIC PM uses this to confirm, number one, that all the required criteria are met in the recipient's work plan, and then reviews kind of first off sort of the history of accomplishment. So has the recipient successfully met the goals and objectives from prior years? Confirms that the recipient's roadmap is current, since those roadmaps must be updated every 3 years, every 3 years. And also does a review of the 6 activities that I've just covered to make sure that they are all fully addressed in the work plan. And lastly, the AVIC PM then provides a score between 0 to 10 for each of these activities. And that concludes the ADT Cooperative Agreement webinar training. If you have any questions or comments, please do email traceability@usda.gov. Thank you for listening and have a good day.